Hello, everybody. Welcome to On the Homefront. I'm John Murphy. Very happy to be here on the radio, sharing some time with you. You might be catching us on YouTube or on WECS. We're very happy to have you either way. Our program this week is going to be in 3 segments. We're going to begin with the Chamber of Commerce of Windham. Then we're going to look at the Ashford Area Arts Council. They have a special event coming up later this month. And then we're going to talk to a local artist who has a studio in town. She has a jazz art event coming up this week. She's done fundraisers for the soup kitchen as well. Her name is Danielle DeSouza. We'll have her on to close the show later today. First off, though, as you look at the chamber, I'm very happy to have 2 new guests in the studio. We have Michelle Garabedian. She is the president. She's been working with the chamber now for 18 years. So, Michelle, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, John.
You're on board, Michelle. And also we have Suzanne Gendron. She's the membership and the marketing director as well. She's been with the chamber a number of years. She just joined, actually, recently. Suzanne, welcome aboard, and we'll talk about marketing, too. But I guess one good starting point that you wanted to mention is a program that people are learning about involving energy and your partnership with Eversource, trying to deal with high energy costs.
Yes. We sent out surveys to our members, what can we do? How can we, save you money? And overwhelmingly, it was the cost of utilities and any savings. So we partnered with them. They're doing no-cost evaluations of businesses and go through the energy efficiency. There's a portion that they match. And then if there's a cost that you have to absorb, they actually have 0% loans that you can take out to supplement the difference. Yes. Yeah.
I think one of the most important aspects that I just learned about was that the success of this program for some businesses. One of the local businesses saved $38,000 over the course of a year over there. Smaller numbers are like $50 a month, but hey, who couldn't use an extra $50 a month, correct?
And in a small business, the whole thing about business is you can't always guarantee your income, but your expenses every month. That doesn't change. So that's how you control some of that damage, right? Especially when the margins are tight.
Absolutely.
Every little bit. So how much longer is the CAN program running? Do you know?
The energy?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
the energy program,
yeah.
I believe, through the end of the year.
Okay.
Yep, I believe through the end of the year.
All right, so that's a great thing. We'll find out more, and maybe we'll talk about that more in the fall when things get cold. We'll have them back, talk about what to do before the year ends. And also, I mentioned the CAN program before. That's a networking process, and you're doing that. Maybe mention that. That's coming up in July.
It is. Our next event is going to be July 16th at 47 Crescent Street in Willimantic.
Right.
That takes place from 8 to 9 a.m., the third Tuesday of every month. Some people might recognize Chris Grant from around town. He's leading that up. But again, professionals from every industry come together, network with each other, get some ideas, bounce things off of each other. And again, just get together. Try to get people out of the COVID rut and back together.
Are you hearing from employers that there are still unfilled positions? They're struggling, or people just don't stay? There's too much turnover?
There is, unfortunately. There is. There is, a lack of quality workers or interested workers. A lot of people don't want to go back into an office.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the small businesses are struggling with that.
I guess it's one of the unintended consequences of COVID. If you change your mind too much, going back is different. And that's maybe some businesses can do that more than others. Some of them, you've got to be there. It doesn't even work. But it depends on the person. And something else coming up in the fall are some after-hours social events. And they're starting in September. But what's the idea of those, and how do they go previously?
Well, we really wanted the community to come back together. And that was something that our membership was telling us we've got too far away from, was being together in the same room, sharing ideas, collaborating. And we really wanted to honor that and invite the community back. So we have a tremendous opportunity to not only showcase a business during that month where the business will invite the chamber membership or potential chamber members into their business, showcase what they're about, and get a little chance to exchange some business cards and just be together again and support each other and grow scale our businesses to the next level.
Yeah. There's healthy competition, and then there's partnership that rides the waves, because competition comes and goes, and that's a different dynamic totally, The social part is the real glue, apart from the paperwork, right? Yeah.
And the gems that we have in this neck of the woods, as far as businesses, are like no other. Not up north, not down south. Right here in the heart of Willimantic and Wyndham region is Hosmer's soda. We all know about them, right? Great. I mean, I'm just throwing him out here.
Seltzer water as well, flavored seltzer.
Correct. But
the ginger beer. Here we go.
Well, see, all of that.
Yeah.
So there was there's enough here that are gems that we should really celebrate and really collaborate with, so that we can all benefit from expanding this region.
So, Michelle, you've had 18 years with the Chamber in different roles now.
I have.
And I just wondered, over that time frame, there's been a lot of history here. But from the viewpoint of the business community and your membership, what are some of the biggest changes that you've noticed over time, and what has remained the same?
I think remaining the same really is the diversity that we have, not only in Wyndham businesses, but all over. Who would have thought that hiring goats to take care of your lawn would be a thing, but it is.
That's right.
So the diversity and people are really looking to be their own boss and start something and not work for someone else. So, the motivation and gusto, that has been a constant. Of course, the changes are some businesses didn't recover from COVID, and there were a lot of closures.
Sure.
So again, now it is officially kind of 2 years later, but there is still that struggle in trying to bounce back.
And how about the tension between the big boxes and the small local stores? There was always that stress when they first came. Things like the Greenleaf shop disappeared, little things in town, and there's always a trade-off for these things. So that's a trade-off that kind of lingers.
I've noticed as a consumer that I am more apt to shop locally, not only because of my history with the Chamber,
right,
but I want to see, I want to, touch. I don't want to shop online, and I do want to get out. My profession is a realtor. So, you've got to see the people, right?
Of course.
And, so I think that for me, that's embedded more than anything. But again, with the diversity of the different shops that we have, you're not going to see that, in a big box. It's going to be, very blanketed.
Yeah. It's one of these things I get very ambivalent about. This whole idea of drone delivery freaks me out. It's like a really bad joke. Somebody just had too much whiskey one night. I don't know. To me, unless you're in a remote area where transportation is a problem, which isn't the problem here when people can get around, even if you don't have a car, the idea of delivery is weird. But the whole idea of local stores, if you want to get things for the garden, do you go to the local garden stores? Do you go to the big boxes? Because that money goes out of state.
Yeah,
it doesn't even help our taxes.
Correct.
And people are thinking more. Don't you think so, about that circuit of money staying, and it really multiplies?
Yeah. I think as a whole, people are getting more and more, we're more proactive on that concept. Yeah, it was something shiny and new in the beginning, and we had the boom of, remember when Walmart opened, that we were all mind blown, by that. But I think that there has kind of been that transition of come back to your main street, whatever town, you live in, and do that. And, the cost of gas and the stress of driving, why not stay close?
And I know from previous discussions with some economic development people at Town Hall, Wyndham has finally hit the level of traffic and volume that triggers interest, because there's enough activity here now that people might invest, they might get a return. So that's encouraging for the future.
Absolutely.
Now, when new businesses start, one of the stories that I've always heard is that new businesses, very often they'll struggle, many will fail the first time. They have to learn hard lessons. But do you notice over the years people that are starting out, are they starting out smarter, or are they still going through the same, this is my personal vision, it's my experience, I'm not really business trained, and I'm trying to start a business, but I don't watch my expenses. I have expectations for income. I'm very hopeful. I value my product. I love it. Maybe it's family made, but the homework's not there yet. How does that work out?
I am finding that more are going in ready. Fortunately, there's so many grants, so many resources out there, and it's making sure that they're, aware of them, all the things, credit card processing, the simple, sometimes it's not all about filing something on, online, explaining, no, this is why you have to separate this expense. This is where it can't just get all thrown into one checking account or, so really for us, yes, making sure they have all the tools, that they need. And of course, after that, you can only do, so much, but really making sure that small businesses have those tools. So whether you're a restaurant and you've got to start with a local business like Click for your food safety certification, and going through that process of, everybody kind of, passing the baton of, where can you go? What can you do? What's the next steps? So I find that they are coming in more prepared, and that's just a great partnership between everybody.
Yeah. Well, Suzanne, in terms of marketing, when you look ahead to the new year, you're new to the chamber, you've worked in the field. What's your picture for the kind of ways you're trying to reach out to people in maybe different settings than they're used to?
And I think that is something I'm going to piggyback off of what Michelle said, is that we are a resource, and that's how we should be used. Is if you're struggling with your social media, come to us. We have resources in order to help you with that. If you're like, my social media is not getting traction,
right,
I'm not getting the conversion rates, we have a toolbox item for that. Do you need help figuring out what bank account things are supposed to go to? Come to us, because we have relationships with our chamber members who we can refer and say, hey, look, go to our friend Michelle, the realtor, go to our friend Suzanne, the social media person, or whatever it is, and we can help them thrive. And really, it's better to work with a professional or a resource than it is trying to navigate yourself. I always use this tool. We all have a drill in our garage, right? When we get a cavity, do we go into our garage and say, okay, I'm going to drill the... No, we go to a professional, correct?
Yes.
Why
I do not like paint.
Well, yeah, that too. But why would we want to do that with our business that we want to succeed, correct?
Yeah. And a lot of people can do their own websites now. There's a lot of user-friendly software, but that might be nice for a hobbyist. But if you're going to move money and you're going to make transactions, you got to be real careful about the law and your own money. And things like Venmo are not as secure as a regular credit card. A lot of people love the convenience of things like Venmo. It's fast and easy. It's not protected the same way. You're more open to getting scammed, and you have no protection. So that convenience can really mess you up. So watch out for those easy transactions. There's a reason for that. But not to get cynical, but it happens. People need to watch. And as a business, you got to be real careful, because you're hopefully going to move a lot of money.
And I think our other big thing for the end of 2024 and going into 2025 is really having that relationship and flourish with the chamber and our local businesses, our mom and pops, the ones that are here, they're working here, they're living here, they're supporting our sporting events in our schools, and really making sure that they have everything they need to scale their business to the next level.
Yeah. Well, maybe one last question briefly. The website is wyndhamchamber.com, wyndhamchamber.com. What would people find there to help them follow up on our chat today?
There will be detailed information and links for the energy program.
Right?
Yes. And on the calendar events will be going up the CAN networking meetings.
Yeah, that's July 16th in the morning, 8 o'clock, third Tuesday.
Yes, right. 47 Crescent Street.
Yeah.
And follow us on Facebook, because that's where the quickest turnaround. We're also going to do member spotlights on there, and really promote our events through that Facebook page.
That's a good resource as well. A resource to share resources. There you go. Well, I want to thank our guests, Michelle Garabedian and also Suzanne Gendron from the Chamber. I wish you a good summer, and we'll look forward to having you back later in the year about these fall campaigns, and we'll see how the energy campaign wraps up when things start to get cold.
Absolutely. Our pleasure, John. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to head north up to the Ashford Area Arts Council. Don't go away. Okay, we're back on the home front. John Murphy here with you. Very happy. We have some program news to share as well. You know, this program has been on the air many years in Wyndham at WILI, AM and FM in Willimantic. And we've been trying to expand the show to get down to Norwich and New London. And we've tried to have a way to have a program on WICH, which covers Norwich and parts of New London. And as the program is starting to get some feedback, we're realizing doing one show for two cities is not working as well as having two separate shows. So in August, we're going to begin doing a second separate show at WICH in Norwich to reach that part of the state with the same information we're doing here. Some of our segments will be of interest to people down there, and there'll be some things happening in Norwich that you might like to know about. There's a lot of common ground, but people in Norwich want to hear and see local folks. So we're going to honor that and try to split the show into two bases to support each other. I'll hit the microphone. It's my personal castanet that I do occasionally, and the engineers don't beat me up too much for that. But we're trying to reach more people and to get stories out. So if you're watching or listening, if you're in the Norwich area heading down to New London, we're looking for stories. We're doing our homework to get ready for August, but we're looking for people that have stories to share. It's really about you, not us. So John at Human Arts Media is the email. Send a note, and we'll talk later on, and we'll talk in July about getting this other sister show going to help connect, the state in better ways. So right now we're going to move into the Ashford Area Arts Council with Steve Gerling. He's been with the council a number of years now, and they have a very special event coming up this weekend. And we also have some news about some summer events you might want to keep track of in Mansfield. So welcome back to the studio first, Steve. Good to have you.
Oh, good to be back, John. So anyhow, yeah, we are putting on our third year running of the a summer's palette that will be going on this Saturday with a rain date of Sunday at the Westford Hill Distillers. And what it is an outdoor arts festival that our group puts on. There will be about 25 different artists and vendors displaying work, along with musical performances. There will be spoken word performances. There will be food. The Westford Hill Distillers will be offering up their usual yummy treats.
Of course.
And including our own specialized summer palette cocktail, which I'll vouch for is pretty tasty. It's the Westford Hill Distillers site is, you couldn't ask for a better venue for an art show.
196 Chady Road, Chatey, 196 Chady Road, Ashford is Westford Hill. Yeah.
The site is a farm that dates back to 1711. It's been in the Chady family since 1919. The original farmhouse is pretty much unchanged. It's beautifully maintained. When the Chady family bought it in 1919, they immediately began planting the grounds with beautifully designed gardens, exotic trees, which after 100 years and change are now huge and just gorgeous.
I've just heard about the area. I haven't been there myself, but I've heard many people say once you go, it's eye-popping.
Oh, it is. It is. You won't want to leave. As I say, this is our third year. We're fairly small yet. Our first year was an experiment. The second year was really very successful, despite the fact that it was pouring rain at the beginning. People were lined up to come in.
Beautiful.
It was good for the artists. We're always looking for outlets for our work. And it was good for artists because people were actually coming with the intention of buying, which is always nice.
Oh, yeah. In fact, if you go to ashfordarts.org, that's their website, ashfordarts.org. I went to the website. There's a place where you can go to support local commerce, and you can connect to artists and their work to buy it if you want. So it's a nice aspect of extending commerce.
Yeah, it is. As I'm sure you're well aware, it's very hard for artists to find outlets for their work. So this has proved to be really great for us. There's talk already of next year and maybe expanding the number of people displaying and maybe expanding to a second day of it as well. We're kind of hoping to do that. It's no harder to set up for a 2-day event than a 1-day event. So
not really. And once people can see it for themselves, they get the idea. It's not really an abstraction.
No.
If you join an arts guild or a council, that's leverage. And it means, okay, you go to a show once in a while, that's fine. But if you want more consistent ways to grow your business, this is a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And already last year there were a huge number of people commenting that they had been there the first year and had been looking forward to it ever since. So we're hoping to get more of that this year.
We should give a shout out to Deb Gagg. She was the previous president for many years. We had Deb in the studio many, many times about all your events. She's moving on to other projects right now, but I know that the council is looking for some new membership on the board. Talk about that.
We are. We're always looking, of course, for new membership, especially on the board. Now, Deb Gagg's sort of co-chairperson, Catherine Eidson, is pretty much running in the driver's seat right now, but she would like to step back. They've been in, both Deb and Catherine have been there since the organization's inception, which is like 2017, and they're getting a little tired.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
We are right now looking for a president, and we're emphasizing that we're not necessarily looking for an artist. We have an awful lot of really dedicated volunteers to do all of the grunt work involved with it, and we're basically looking for a person, an organized person who would just like to support the arts to organize all the people who are going to do the heavy lifting.
You know, that's a good distinction to make, because a lot of people don't think that way, and they can bring a heck of a skill set that they take for granted.
Exactly. Again, I emphasize that it's like your ability as an artist isn't important. You know, we just need somebody who's going to be in the center of this.
Now, we're doing this show at the end of June 2024. Is your membership been holding steady? Are you getting new members this year? How's the whole group doing?
We are slowly growing. We're around 60 or 70 members right now, I believe, and we're picking up new ones. Hence the expansion of our title from the Ashford Arts Council to the Ashford Area Arts Council. We've been drawing more and more membership from surrounding towns. Mm-hmm. So that's been very positive.
Now, we're speaking with Steve Gerling, by the way. Steve, are you an artist, or are you someone who's also helping to run things, but you don't have a studio and you're not working on your own craft?
I am an artist. My actual main medium for many, many, many years was relief wood carving. Since I've retired from other jobs, since most artists have other jobs, since retiring, I've done more and more just two-dimensional work, primarily painting and drawing. I've gotten really, really very fond of watercolor, which I had never done until probably 3 years ago. You know, despite a degree in art, I never really pursued the painting part. I was a sculpture major. But, watercolor has pretty thoroughly seduced me. So,
is it the fluidity compared to acrylic, which is so much denser?
I think it's more the ephemeral quality of watercolor. It's with an acrylic or even an oil, you can correct pretty much of anything. Now, watercolor, you can keep moving that around, but it's still not going to forgive you.
I guess so.
You got to stay true to whatever you got going on, because you reach a certain point where, nope, not going to happen. But there is that ephemeral quality, the translucency, the light that comes through from the paper itself. It's a very different breed of cat.
So after now this event, the Summer's Palette, is coming up this weekend, this Saturday, Sunday. Well, Saturday the 29th, Sunday's a rain date, only one day. Do you have any council meetings over the summer we should mention before we close?
We've got a couple that we're going to be setting up, but they are going to be, kind of planning meetings for the fall.
Okay.
We will do our big fall membership meeting, which is more of a party in September. But we also do we will be doing a show in September, for the month of September, at the Vanilla Bean Cafe in Pomfret. Our membership will set up there for the month. And again, that'll be about our third year doing that as well.
Yeah, the Vanilla Bean's a great spot. They have a wonderful poetry series up there that
exactly
the Karen's been curating up there.
Yeah,
it's a good spot up at Pomfret, so that'll be a nice way to start the fall.
Mm-hmm. Touch on that real briefly.
Yeah.
We don't only promote art. We are involved with all of the arts. We, including poetry, we actually are responsible for appointing things like Ashford's Poet Laureate, One of our members, an extremely good photographer by the name of Christina Sebo. She is not the current poet laureate, but she is an incredible poet as well as an artist.
Maybe we should have
that would be a real good idea.
Yeah.
We also give out, I think this year we gave out either three or four art scholarships to our school system.
That.
Yeah.
For high schoolers?
For high schoolers.
High schoolers.
Including one that went to a Wyndham High student. Most of them in the past have been E.O. Smith, but somebody mentioned that, well, a lot of our kids go to Wyndham Tech as well. And I'm really anxious. I apologize to you out there if you hear this. I have forgotten the young man's name.
Okay, you're forgiven.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well done either way. Well done.
But I'm really anxious to see his work. The reports I've seen of his work were pretty incredible, actually. The kid is so well-rounded that I'm anxious to see what he actually does.
So he'll be part of the show, you think? Is that part of the deal?
He won't be.
Okay.
What else do we have? Again, there will be music this weekend as well. We have a list of performers here. There is also one of our performers, a guy named Mike South, also builds guitars. And not only does he play and sing extremely well, he makes these absolutely gorgeous guitars.
A luthier, eh?
A luthier, yes, he is. We will have a couple of readings by some of our poets. And it should be, all in all, a really pretty entertaining day.
So once again, I want to give this again in case you're joining us. It's this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Sunday is the rain date. It's 10 to 4.
10 to 4 at the Westford Hill Distillers on Chady Road in Ashford.
Yep. And before we go, Margaret Chady sent me some information too. We'll cover some more of this next week as well. From Mansfield, they've got a whole summer of events going on. There's a couple of highlights I want to share while we have a couple of minutes. At the library, they've been really busy with lots of events and programs in recent months, and they have a regular free film series going on. June 28th is Arthur the King. Then in July, they're going to have films American Fiction, Wally, and Mona. And these are going to be at the library. They also have digital navigators. They have a federal grant from the recovery funds. They have 2 wonderful technicians that can help you solve digital problems at home with equipment, cable TV, your cell phone, your computer, your laptop. They're paid experts that are there to help you with your personal technology needs, and they're based at the Mansfield Library. Just contact the library, ask to talk to the navigators. You can make an appointment, and my wife Rita's seen them twice. They're very helpful, and it may save you a lot of time and agony up at the library.
A couple more quick.
Yep, please.
A couple of quick more gimmies at Summer Palette.
Yep.
One of the things that we're going to be offering for people who may be a little bit timid but want to give it a try, we will be offering plein air painting setups. If people want to get out, as I say, it's a very inspiring landscape, but they'll be set up with small canvases and paints if they want to give that a whirl. One of the other things we're doing is about 20 of the artists have donated works for sort of a little bit of a, I don't know what you would call it, a little treasure hunt.
Okay.
People will be given cards as they come in, and they'll get them stamped at each.
Is this the bingo? Is this the bingo thing?
The Fine Arts Bingo.
There you go.
Wow. And they will be able to, in raffle style, the people who turn in these cards will be able to pick from this group of art pieces that people have offered up for them. Yeah, thought that was a pretty cool idea.
Cool takeaway.
Yeah.
People love that.
Mm-hmm. So those are, 2 more good reasons to go out there.
And I imagine if you take a look at ashfordarts.org, there's more information. You'll find a lot more specifics. Lots of music all day from 10 to 4. So stop by anytime. Bring some family and friends. Lots of food. And I wish you good weather and a great time, Steve.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Steve Gerling, thanks a lot. We'll see you later in the summer for an update.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, we'll take a little musical break right now. Head down Route 66, and we'll come back and talk about Spiral Arts. Don't go away. All righty. We're back in the studio live. Hope you enjoyed those tunes. One of my favorites is Mose Allison, known as the Jazz Sage, because his tunes always have a little bit of thought in there to mess with your head. We heard It Didn't Turn Out That Way, and I Don't Worry About a Thing from one of his very first records, Mose Allison. Well, this is on the Homefront here. We're doing live radio right now, and our guest is not here. This is what live radio is. It's like, here we are. It's like Claude Rains, and this is like the invisible guest, So rather than, run out of the room and change my socks, we're going to share some information, and I'm going to use a few minutes, not to embarrass myself, but to give you information about what we're trying to do with the show, because I'm usually here with guests, and it's always about them. I try to get out of the way and let them tell their story. But this show is going through a lot of changes, and we're trying to do some interesting things. We're trying to connect print media with cable TV and local radio, and it's all about giving our local citizens more access to the airwaves. There's a lot of things going on that people are very troubled about. Our local media news coverage is very limited, but life goes on. Just because you don't have a journalist in the meeting when the votes happen, things go on and you find out after the fact. So we're trying to get people in the studio to talk about issues before they're voted on. So a couple of things that we're going to look at in the summer and in the fall that we've talked about here. Across the state are tenant unions. Across the state, there's a housing shortage, and there's an incredible amount of stress between landlords and tenants over no-fault evictions. When your lease is up, can they throw you out? If you're a bad tenant not paying your rent, how can a landlord do what they need to do to get the money they need to run their property? Because it goes both ways. We've talked a lot about healthcare and how the restructuring of healthcare has changed how you access it, how it's paid for, and how much it costs. And the local impacts are still being discovered. We've talked about Wyndham Hospital and other hospitals in the state that are changing their business models. They can't do everything for everybody all the time, and they're trying to decide what to do and what not to do. And people are being left out of that process. And the good thing is the arts. The arts have gotten us through COVID, and one of the things that's kept me very optimistic in this studio is how many people are involved in arts organizations, arts groups, trying to make life interesting, expressing good things about life, having events, and more people getting out of the caves, getting together in public. It's been really nice to see that happen, and we hope to do more of that in the months ahead, and to use this as a way for you to learn about cool things that are happening. People are trying to raise money for all kinds of causes in good ways, and they're connecting the arts to health and wellness and fundraising and new businesses. So this is a growing area in our community that is really encouraging, and I hope if you're not supporting the arts, you get out there and do what you can. It's part of our local economy that keeps it healthy. A couple of more things I want to share on. I also want to congratulate Ben Keller, a wonderful mural artist who's busy all over the state doing these huge Salvador Dali-sized murals. And down here at the parking garage about a month or so ago, he did a beautiful kind of a triptych with three amazing women, Toni Morrison, Elsa Nunez, who just retired as president at Eastern for 18 years, and also Ella Grasso. So that's a beautiful thing in our parking garage. When you're walking by, you can't miss it. It's a beautiful reminder of women and our local arts. So thank you, Ben, for putting that in my face every day. Julio de Burgos, the Park Series begins tomorrow. They're back for 2024, Thursday the 27th, tomorrow night at 6:30. They're going to have Frederick Douglass Knowles II and a special curbstone celebration of the many people that kept that place alive for so many years and made such a good contribution to literature. A special tip of the hat to Sandy Taylor and Judy Doyle and everybody else involved with Curbstone. Again, that's tomorrow night, 6:30, right here in town, about a mile from where I'm sitting, at the corner of Jackson and Curbstone Way. 6:30 tomorrow, and they go all summer, July 25th, August 22nd, and September 26th. Just think about the last Thursday of the month at 6:30 at Julio de Burgos Park in Willimantic. A couple more quick things while I have time, Matt. I got a couple minutes to go. The good folks at the Bradley Playhouse are at it again. They have one coming up now. It's called Something Rotten, a comedy, July 26th to August 11th. Think about that at thebradleyplayhouse.org. That's their website. You can get all their programs and events. And also, something that came out of the state budget was an unanticipated cut in state funding for the arts. When the legislature people sat down with the budget at the last minute, they had to find $30 million. So they took a few million from a lot of places, including the arts. And some of the theater groups lost millions of dollars, and they're trying to figure out how to cut budgets, how to manage programs and resources to accommodate an unanticipated budget loss. We've always covered the arts heavily here on the show, and as they figure out what they're doing to respond to these budget cuts, they call it a punch in the gut. We'll get them here to talk about that along with our other arts coverage. One more thing coming up to people in Coventry is there's a discussion now about a potential gas pipeline expansion. You know, there's a company that's going all the way through Connecticut up to Maine or Boston, and they're kind of using Connecticut as a pass-through for natural gas, and they would like to apparently consider a plan to do an expansion in the Coventry area. I haven't heard too much about it except the initial announcement. The company is owned in Canada. It's the Algonquin Pipeline. You may have heard that term over the years. If you search on Algonquin Pipeline, this is the story of this pipeline, and Coventry may be a bigger piece of that. We'll find out more. Anyway, time's running out. I want to thank you for sharing your time each week. I'm always looking for guests. I want to thank the people at WECS at Eastern for airing the show. I want to thank Mike Sweet and everybody at Spectrum Public Access for covering us on Channel 192 along with the other shows that we have here. And coming soon, we'll have our own show here on WICH in Norwich. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.